Let's simplify using positive exponents. Now, this kind of question here, when you have a negative exponent, it's a good idea simply to switch the top and bottom. The numerator and denominator, simply switch them without thinking too hard. So the bottom ends up at the top, and the top ends up at the bottom. So in general, when you have a over b to the negative c, this is equivalent to b over a to the c. Now let's think about why. Negative exponent means 1 over that base, all to the positive version of that exponent. When we say 1 divided by something, that's equivalent to saying 1 divided by, using exponent laws, a to the c over b to the c. This is the same thing as saying 1 times by the reciprocal, which is b to the c over a to the c. And as you can see, anything times 1 is itself, and this part here can be written as b over a all to the c. So indeed, we can believe the statement. So we simply switch the top and the bottom, and we made the negative exponent positive. So this is a very good strategy. Now let's clean this up. We have bracket all squared. 9 divided by 3 is 3. We have a to the negative 3 divided by a to the 1. Negative 3 take away 1 is a to the negative 4. And finally, we have that's a b here. We only have a b on the bottom. And so what we do here is we draw a line and put the b on the bottom. Now we can finish this off here. If you really want to clean up the inside first, you can move this to the bottom. So what we have here is 3, a to the 4, we switch the negative to a positive. And finally, we're going to spread the exponent of top and bottom. 3 squared is 9, and the bottom is this whole thing all squared, which becomes a to the 8. Let me just break this down a little bit. A to the 4, b all squared. Exponent bracket exponent, this becomes a to the 8, b squared. So this here is our final answer, 9 over a to the 8, b squared. Now for the sake of practice, let's try the same question again one more time. Let's just try to use exponent laws right away and see what happens. So we're going to rewrite this as 3ab to the negative 2 all over, spreading the exponent top and bottom, 9a negative 3 all to the negative 2. This is not as efficient, I don't think. But let's see what happens. So this becomes, focusing on the top only, 1 over this whole thing squared, which becomes 9a squared b squared. And this big line becomes divided by this whole thing to the negative 2 is going to be 1 over the whole thing squared. And what's on the inside? It's 9a to the negative 3. So this is looking quite bad, so I don't recommend this technique. But let's just keep going to see if this works out. So just continuing over here, we have 1 over 9a squared b squared. And we're going to simply spread the exponent love even to the coefficient. 9 squared is 81. And when we multiply negative 3 times 2, we get negative 6. And if we move this to the top, it becomes a to the 6. So we're going to rewrite this. 1 over 9a squared b squared multiplied by the reciprocal, flip. So the 81 ends up on top, and the a to the 6 ends up on the bottom. And we know that 81 divided by 9 is 9. And so now we can simply combine the a's. So this is equals to 9 over a squared times a6 is a to the 8. And the b squared ends up on the bottom. So this was a bit of an unorthodox technique, but as you can see, we still have the same answer. So now we have a quick true or false question. What's the square root of 9? And the answer is simply 3. This is the positive version by convention, so we don't take the plus minus answer. Later next year we'll understand how this looks in terms of the quadratics and graphing and the picture, but for now just memorize that the square root of a number is simply one answer, the positive version. So what is the square root of 4? The answer would be 2, and that's it. Given x squared equals 9, find x. And yes, it's true. When you have a variable squared and you take the square root of both sides, remember that you can take two possible answers, the positive answer as well as the negative answer. You can verify your answers by plugging it back into the x. So if indeed x equals -3, what is -3 squared? -3 times -3 is 9, so this is correct. Simplify. Bracket 12x squared divided by 8x to the -3, y to the -2, bracket all to the -3. Evaluate the square root of 225, if possible the square root of -4, and solve x when x squared equals 100. Good luck.